Hello, I'm Ryan F9, and today we find out if leather really is better. It's a crash test of the AGV Sport Photon. So I'm ready to terrorize the track, carve the canyons, drag knees, and take names, because this is a premium, aggressive sport bike jacket with the $450 musk of Italian leather. Of course, it's not actually Italian. AGV Sport borrows their name from Italy, but the company comes from America and the cows come from Pakistan. Oh well, it's the United Nations of sport bike jackets, and today it's fighting torture. Torture tests, 9 of them. The first of which is waterproofing, and our Photon jacket is pitifully underprepared for Seaworld. The YKK zippers on these rear exhaust slits, they are not the waterproof kind. The interior liner on this jacket is also not the waterproof kind. And then the entire tummy and biceps is dotted with tiny perforations to improve airflow. I mean, should we even bother testing a summer jacket for waterproofing? Okay, fine. So that went pretty much as expected. I got soaked through the front perforations, mainly along the zipper line, and that's a failing grade for waterproofing. On to puncture strength then. Last time we tested a textile jacket called the First Gear Kathmandu, shooting it with a BB, a lead pellet, and a penetrating pellet at 500 feet per second. 2 out of 3 shots made it right the way through to Brian F9, and so that textile failed. But I think this 1.2 millimeter cowhide is gonna do better. Ready to bite the bullet, my friend? Try the BB first. Try the lead pellet. Whoa, that one's stuck right in there. Definitely didn't make it through though. That'll go through a lot of stuff, so that's the real test here. I think that one went through. So you can see the 3 marks from our shots, the BB, the lead pellet, and the penetrating pellet, but visually none of them look like they actually went through. It was actually the lead pellet that made the deepest indent, but if we have a look in here on the inside of the jacket, yeah, so that would be from the lead pellet. Oh, this is the bullet actually. This is cool. So there's the penetrating pellet right there. You can see it coming through just in the mesh liner, but didn't really make it all the way through the jacket into Brian F9. So I'd have to say that all 3 shots were stopped. That's pretty impressive. So we found no impact marks on Brian F9 himself, meaning that the leather jacket stopped all 3 shots. Yes, the penetrating pellet got close, but even still, it is a passing grade for puncture strength. Next, we're testing all of the impact armor, and that of course means it's time to go to the batting cage. This shoulder armor has nothing to be afraid of. It's a hard titanium plate mounted onto plastic, stitched into 1.4 millimeter cowhide, and then all of that is covering a separate CE Level 1 approved shield. This pad itself is hard plastic, mounted onto dense foam. It's a very 1990s take on body armor. Yep, score 1 for the 1990s. I mean, these things might be about as comfortable as wearing a brick on each shoulder, but they are effective. Now, spine protection might not go so well. The Photon jacket does have a speed hump, but it doesn't drop low enough to cover much of the back. And then these foamy rib protectors aren't gonna come into play either, so it's really just up to this, 10 millimeters of CE unapproved memory foam to save Brian F9's back. Yes, that's a home run. For me, I mean, not for the jacket. So our Photon dropped a point for spine protection, but it did also pick one up for shoulder protection. Next we have abrasion resistance and seam strength. Back in Rambos corner, I mentioned that this jacket was 1.2 millimeters of cowhide, which it is, except for in the main sliding zones, where it's actually 1.4 millimeter competition grade leather. It should slide very well. All right, so I have a brand new sheet of 40 grit here spinning at 19 kilometers an hour, and it took us 58 seconds to grind through the leather. That's pretty good. The last textile jacket we tested took 35 seconds to get right through it, to give you a bit of a reference point. Next, we're gonna test seam strength. AGV triple stitched all the seams on this jacket, so I reckon it's gonna take us a long while to yank one apart.
So that took all of 3 seconds to bust the leather panels apart. I guess it's not Kevlar stitching or anything, but still, that's not very good seam strength. Now, I'm standing on the tee box of Golf Town, and this is my golf ball. It's an outdated, hard plastic and dense foam impact protector, just like we saw in the shoulders. But remember that the shoulders of the Photon also have these external titanium and plastic sliders. We don't get that same luxury down here on the elbows, so this pad is gonna have to absorb the G-force all on its own. So, it looks like our elbow armor was up to the task. Less than 100 G's got through. That's a passing grade for elbow protection. So far, so good. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 passing grades, and that would already be enough to tie the first gear Kathmandu. I guess AGV Sport has 2 chances to pull into the lead. Let's see if they can accomplish it in the burn unit. Now, the thing about leather jackets versus textile ones, they're way less flammable. I mean, you guys have seen me hold this torch to loads of textile jackets, and it melts right through in like a second. That just doesn't happen with leather. I mean, sure, professional fire suits like the one F1 drivers wear, those are textile and they're great, but for your average riding gear, I would way rather handle a hot situation in leather than in textile. Not much going on there. The sliders, that's titanium. No way in hell we're gonna do anything. Ooh, there must be some foam in there, because that's happy to go. This is interesting though, this probably has foam on the inside in this speed hump. So if we could get at it, it would be flammable, but we can't. Oh, there we go, finally, okay. We're into some foam there. That's probably gonna do something neat. Our back pad is happy to go there. These are typically rather flammable. There's our impact pad. Just getting no go here. Yeah, even the liner in here is not going well. All around, I've got to say, it's not the most spectacular thing to light on fire. So our Photon has a great heat resistance. I'd congratulate AGV Sport, but I'm pretty sure that the Pakistani cows had more to do with this one. Leather just tends to pass the fire test. After this is FortNine's 9th test, build quality, where we ask the question, what still works? And to save you some time on this one, pretty much everything does. And that would still pass the 100G test. This looks good, and that looks fine. The accordion stretch fabric is still stretchy. Even the little things like these zippers, we burned a lot of them, but they're still doing their job. For the most part, the jacket looks a little worse for wear, but basically the way it started out. Nothing big broke off. We didn't notice any large build quality issues. That's gonna be a passing grade. So then, we have only the 3 failures today: waterproofing, spine protection, and seam strength. The score therefore is 6 out of 9. That is much better than the first gear Kathmandu we tested. It's slightly worse than the TGP Rainier. It's a shockingly small sample size, but from what we've seen, leather is better, definitely in terms of puncture, abrasion, and heat resistance. Next week we have an interesting one. This is a Nolan N44, and it's one of those weird transformer helmets. I mean, how safe is that gonna be? We'll find out next time. Until then, take care.